Hi, my name's Geeta Sidhu-Robb. We get a lot of clients that come in that struggle with the fact that they have cancer, their relatives have cancer, lots of people they know have cancer. And the statistics today are that 1 in 2 people will have cancer. It isn't always a hopeless journey. It isn't always a hopeless situation. And one of the reasons we know that is because we've talked to so many people for whom cancer has actually catapulted them into an enormously incredible world of gratitude and learning and growth. And one of those people is the wonderful Sophie Trew. And Sophie, you had cancer.
I did.
How old were you?
23 when I was diagnosed.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. And you say the word bloody, it was blood cancer, so there you go. Yeah.
Oh my God, 23.
Yeah.
Tell me, what made you think, how did you find out first?
So I'd been in Colombia making a documentary.
As one does.
And and my mission, I wanted to be a little bit, wanted to be kind of similar to Louis Theroux and that kind of style. I loved his kind of style of interviewing and traveling around. And after that, just found that I was getting really tired and I started having night sweats, but again, didn't really think they were anything. And then I actually went to go and see a chiropractor, and you know how these things are synchronicities of stuff happening. I went to go and see him with Mum, she's a physio, and she was learning a massage technique. And there's 5 of us, and it's quite rare we'd go and do stuff just the 2 of us. And after seeing him, he said there's something wrong with your breathing when he was kind of doing his session. And the day later, this lump started to grow on my neck. And I just said to Mum, you need to get on the phone to this guy. I can't believe he's done this, da-da-da. And then turns out, amazingly, he must have pushed toxins up because I had 2 lumps here, which I wouldn't have known about, and also down here.
So he released them?
He must have done. So going to see him, I'm very grateful that happened by chance, because a lot of younger people are diagnosed in A&E because people say you're too young. So we kind of had this back and forth thing. Beyond that, this lump was growing. I was about to start work in London, and it was kind of adulthood is just beginning, and I'm just getting it all sorted, if that is ever the case now. But at that point, and everything was kind of in flow and non-stop, and I was always on the go. And then they thought it was tuberculosis because I'd been in Colombia. So that was going on. And then I remember getting a call at about 9 a.m. one morning saying, can you come into the hospital at 7 p.m, but make sure you bring your parents. So that whole day was
helpful.
Just this,
Just no other information.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just kind of sat there with all of this different voices of what if. But at that point, if I'm totally honest, I had no idea what cancer was.
No, of course not.
Because I hadn't come across it. So I just thought, I'm not too worried. I knew Mum was worried. She was on the phone to NHS Direct and all of these things. Anyway, eventually they said, it's a serious illness, you'll need serious treatment, but we hope to cure you. So I had 6 months of chemo. And then
lost your hair?
Yeah. I was very blonde back then. I had my blonde highlights and everything. So yeah, and that was one of my first questions was, am I going to lose my hair? And I remember my dad saying, will she be able to have children? And Mum, I think, said, will she be able to go on holiday? And it shows our priorities at that point. But then you're kind of straight away in the system of chemotherapy and little time to think as well. But I remember my first session with my oncologist, and I just said, okay, is there anything that I can do? And he just looked at me and said, no, nothing you need to do. Cancer's a lottery. Leave it to us.
So annoying.
And to me, luckily, with my kind of journalism questioning mindset, which turned into a bit of a pain in the end for them, it just kind of switched on this light bulb of actually we have got a very fragmented healthcare system. And it's kind of like people...
Yeah, because it makes you want to devolve and give your power up to the person who's there.
Yeah.
Who's the one... Because I remember that with my son. And all they said was, just let us do our job. And I was like, no, because that's not how this works.
Totally.
You know, we don't know everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know everything. So why would I not take part in my own healing?
Exactly. And if we really relate it to the fact that, what is it now? It's 95% of cancers, or 90 to 95%, are attributed to lifestyle and environment, and only 5% are to do with genetics.
Shit. Yeah, well, of course. And then genetics change as well now. We know that.
Exactly.
Because we thought in the old days that didn't happen.
Exactly.
So you did all this chemo and then...
So this lottery thing, I said, no, it's not a lottery. There's a lot of stuff I need to address. Because back then, recent graduate, I lived on cheesy chips, tequila, all of those things. And actually, probably a very disconnected lifestyle. I didn't really once sit with myself or know what meditation was or even gut health or any of these amazing things. And at that then I started to kind of integrate those or learn about juicing. And as I did more research, I realized how much stuff we can be doing.
Good.
And it really shows you the kind of power that you do have. And also there's that element that people can still live a great life even if they've got cancer, even if they've got disease.
Because we all carry some cancer in us all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and I was saying this earlier actually today, where I think that being helpless makes you sick.
Yeah.
Being helpless, having no power makes you sicker than actually when you start to get stronger and you take power back, people heal faster.
Totally. It's reclaiming that.
Yes.
And knowing how much you can do.
Yeah.
And so I started to meet all of these amazing people, and I was just thinking, a lot of people hadn't really connected. You had nutritionists, you had people doing the mind-body, people doing kind of meditation, and there's the classic, when you're in the label, you can't see the jar.
Yeah.
So bringing all these people together, that was how the festival was born that I now put on. It's the first for cancer awareness and holistic health. And I kind of get that question of how can you put on a festival about something so serious? And that's the point, because actually how can we change this narrative to show people that they do have more power than they think, and there's so much good stuff that can be done alongside treatment.
And a lot of the stuff that we also look at in my business is when people come in sick, so often the illness has been the start of an incredibly growing journey of gratitude and joy and happiness.
Yeah.
And that never comes across. And so that's why a festival is a good idea.
You don't see that. And obviously you've got large charities trying to get funds, and they're portraying this constant image of fear.
Yeah. I'm going to beat cancer.
Yeah.
And I hate that. I hate that approach.
Well, it's
so
the
much.
fight, isn't it?
Yes. And it's a survival fight.
Yeah.
As opposed to a thriving fight.
Exactly.
And it upsets me so much. I hate that.
And that narrative then creates the fear that actually if I said to you, oh, I've got diabetes and actually I need insulin every day to survive, whereas you've got cancer, people treat you so differently. Whereas actually you can heal from that, but that might be a lifelong thing. So it's the way that we treat it. Yeah.
How long did it take you to heal from it then?
I would say, so I had my chemo, and that was 6 months, and then did a lot of kind of integrative work afterwards. But really, I think the true healing really started for me after treatment, because you kind of have that shock where you sit still and you think, actually, what just happened? And you then kind of have to deal with, it's the mind. I think it was 80% mental, 20% physical, because our body will only go where our mind takes us.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And I think it's very easy for us to disconnect from our bodies when we're ill, and it's kind of the self-protection. So I now, probably in the past year, really feel grounded and really feel like I've kind of done that healing cycle. How long ago was this now? This was 5 years ago now, so it's been a process, really a long process.
But it is a journey. I think that the evolution and transformation are journeys. And if you aren't willing to undertake the journey, you won't undertake the evolution.
Totally. And I think we have two sides, don't we? We have people who say, actually, what can I do? I want to do everything. And then you have people who say, oh, I want to keep doing what I'm doing because it's, I'm enjoying life. And neither side, everyone has their, I think this is the fundamental. It's kind of like we need personalised care, because each person gets different for different reasons.
Yeah.
So we could have the same cancer, but it would be totally different backgrounds, traumas, relationships. Exactly. And even the culture and cancer debate is a huge one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, because we often find that when people are coming in with cancer, there's a lot of anger and bitterness around it.
Exactly.
And that's what...
And I don't really think we can heal fully unless we really transform that. It's funny, isn't it, when we think about different illnesses have a different kind of emotional resonance.
Yes.
And it's transforming this guilt and this resentment and fear that comes into kind of actually love and gratitude, which is quite difficult because it kind of says, actually, we need to take charge of it.
Yes. And we have to own it because it's our bodies.
Yeah.
And it is that place where you can start in the body, and you do need to start in the body, but you've got to incorporate the mind, because you cannot make a healing of any type. You don't have to, what am I trying to say? There isn't a platform for healing until you connect the mind and the body.
Definitely.
And then the spirit as well.
And that's how we find power, is when we connect mind and body and drop down and listen to when we strengthen our intuition, that's kind of one of the core factors. It's amazing if we think about there are several factors that are, do you want me to pause?
No.
There are several core factors in a study about people who have radical remissions. So people who have gone into remission with late stage disease. And really, not many of them are to do with nutrition and things. It's actually more about increasing social support.
Yes.
Checking in with your intuition, asking for help.
Laughing.
Exactly. Exactly. Getting in more joy. It's kind of what brings you joy and how can you do more of it?
Yeah. No, I think that's amazing, Sophie. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And I think it's really, really inspiring. I think it's wonderful. And I know that you now help and coach people who have cancer to get to wellness, don't you?
I do. Confidence. Yeah. It's kind of a confidence program of how can you reclaim yourself and feel good.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. The amazing, amazing Sophie Trew. And my name is Geeta Sidhu-Robb. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.